Hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. Well, this is a Mothball Fleet Rescue. I had this Opterra in the back in pieces, way back in the closet, and I decided I would try to see if I could get her flying again. The motor, the entire motor mount had broke all the way off, so I put some carbon fiber spars underneath there, hot glued it back in, and she seems to be fine. She seems to have got a 3200. I got the original old AR36A sport receiver that came with it. Now the key to not getting hurt with an Opterra is this thing will glide forever. So you want to use that to your advantage. You do not launch this under power. You want to get it above your head, launch it into the wind, and when it gets past your hand, then apply some power and she should climb right out. But go ahead and use the safe. Go ahead and use that advantage. Now, timer set for 5 minutes, but with throttle management, a 3200, which is what I got in here, you can fly this thing for 10 minutes easy. All right, we got a 300 extra up in the air, but this won't interfere with him. All right, I haven't flown this thing in forever. Three-handed throw. Put your finger back here, and that's your power finger to push it forward. Now into the wind, so it's going to be kind of fun. Have your throttle on, but don't hit any throttle until it's past your hand. All right, let me remember how to do this. We'll try it. All right, make sure I'm right, left. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Oh, whoa. Nope. But you gotta get on the throttle pretty quick though. But that is still the right way to throw it. Because you see, she just glided right down, which that's good. Try that again. If I can get my fingers in there. Okay. Now here at Fat Guy Flies RC, we show everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the whoop. And the what was that? All right. Yeah, okay, we're good. All right. All right, we're got power. Okay. See, that's how you do it. I didn't give it power till it was past my hand.
AS3X mode.
All right. In the AS3X mode now. Okay. Need a little bit of up elevator. Yeah, I haven't flown this thing in a hot minute. You're trimmed out. Because this is a Maiden. I mean, she was in pieces. Literally, not just the pieces she comes in, but in pieces. So I had to figure her out. Get her all checked out, make sure the biggest thing with an old plane, especially when it's real dry and brittle, is pay attention to your hinges. Well, she's flying fine now. Get her up high, kill the power. Let that big old bird soar right by.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
All right. Yeah, I'm out of the power now. Just letting her glide. Big old bird. Back into power. If you see a flashing on the underside, that's because I've installed. That's exactly what it is. I've installed a flasher, just for orientation. Here, let me get it up high, and you can see the belly. See the flash? It doesn't know whether it's right side or up because it's the same bird, basically, either way. If you're thinking about getting the B-2 stealth bomber by Freewing, this won't necessarily teach you that, but it'll give you the same sort of profile and the same sort of spatial awareness to fly that plane. Which that will be on the channel at some point before this year is over. As my wife probably just said to herself, oh great.
Time remaining 3 minutes.
But look at that thing. Is that not just graceful? It wasn't so noisy. But when you got a prop that close to the back of a frame, it's going to be noisy. Aero Scout's the same way because you got that prop right back there. All right, let's need to see what kind of stall she does because this is a maiden after all, a re-maiden. All right, I'm going to bring her by, kill the motor. I want to see what she does. Hold up elevator, just holding up elevator. And she just slumps right on forward, which is great. That's the most predictable stall. It's whenever you drop a wing right to left, is that you have to remember that that's what the plane's going to do. So if suddenly you lost your power and lost your motor, you got to get her home. Well, how's she going to behave if she doesn't have power? So that's why it's so important to do stall tests. You got to know what that plane is going to do if you don't have power. The other problem with the Opterra though, same problem with the Habu. It's not really a problem, it's just a tendency. They glide and glide and glide. So you have to plan your approach accordingly. They do not, the Habu and the Opterra do not want to come out of the sky. They say, no daddy, I want to keep flying. I'm happy. I'm in my happy place. Right before you touch, pull that nose up. See what I'm saying? They glide and glide and glide. And obviously Fat Guy's going to have to go down there and pick it up.
Prop secured.
And that folding prop is made for that. Don't let that bother you. Prop's off. Okay. I'm not going to launch it in safe this time. I'm going to leave it in AS3X. Now I feel like I got a feel for. Let me get back so you can see the launching technique. If at all possible, into the wind is always your best recipe for success.
Motor on, be very careful.
Motor's on. Hand away from the prop. Safe is not on. Make sure I got my thumb on the throttle, ready to give it throttle as soon as it clears my hand. Into the wind. There you go. That's just a matter of timing.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
And remember, if all else fails, let her glide to the ground. Just get back on your control. Let her glide to the ground. As I walk backwards. Now, she does not have much of a roll rate, but you got that great big wing. You gotta remember, this thing was designed for FPV. Mounting a camera up there, up front, and just filming, enjoying some beautiful scenery. Could be great for autonomous flying if you had that kind of a setup. But I love line of sight, as y'all know. All right, we're gonna come by, no power. There we go, let's take it up. Now she's on a 3S, 3200 3S pack, smart pack. On the original receiver, the original first bind and fly receiver that Spectrum an E-FLITE ever came out with. The AR-36A, I think is what it is. This is when the Opterra was first released. This is the first release. I've seen people paint these black and orange and all kinds of weird colors, make them look like drones, military drones. I've seen them painted as stealth bombers, but I like the original. Just pure grace. All right, let's land it and go back to the bench and talk about it. Remember, you really need to plan your approach with this. I'm out of the power now. Going halfway down the field, making my turn. Lined up with the runway. And a slight bit of flare right before I touch. Because it don't take much to get air underneath that wing.
Prop secured.
All right, let's go back to the bench. We'll talk about it. I want to show you how easy this plane, and you can still get this plane too. It's still for sale. All right, the rates that we flew in, I got the aileron set for 125 with 30% expo, and that's what that looks like. And then the only other control you have is elevator, and I got the same, 125, 30% expo. All right. So that's the rates. Timer is set for 5 minutes. I guarantee I'll have at least half that battery, if not more. Where I have the battery set all the way forward in that front strap, 3200 3S Smart Pack. But this is not a smart telemetry receiver. They didn't even have that yet when this was first released. So they hadn't even thought about it. It was you had to buy extended modules and everything to get telemetry. This plane is, I don't know, 10 years old, something like that. Pack is a little bit warm. 47%, so not too far off. I said about half, 47%. So 5 minutes on a timer, and I had 40 seconds. Set your timer for 7 minutes, and you're good to go. And that's plenty of flying with anything. Now that's that AR-36A. The original sport receiver that came with it. And the only thing I've done is I've added that flasher right there, which I've got that glued in.
The flasher again.
The flasher unplugged.
You were showing I had that flasher.
Yeah, well that's where it's at on the underside. And of course that's where I've had to do some carbon spars to secure that motor back on. That whole thing came off. But underneath that card is where I've got that flasher secured, that credit card there. And that's all that is. You got your antennas. It's in the stock position. I think it's a 40 amp receiver, 40 amp ESC. But what I really want to show you now, you're thinking, well, yeah, but that's such a big plane. I don't have room in my car for such a big plane. And I've added that antenna mod. I do need to give her a clear coat, that's for sure. That's before I even knew about clear coats. But to show you how simple this plane comes apart. There. Don't lose the pegs. Big peg there. Slide your wing out. Undo one connection, and it's clearly labeled how to your polarity. Okay. Take that one. Now these come out too, but I've glued them in. Pull this spar out, pull this spar out, pull this peg out, pull that wing off, connection just came undone, and that's it. And that is how quickly, and then you just take your pegs that you got, and what I like to do, the small pegs, just put them back in the individual winglets, And that way you don't lose them. Just lock them in place. Okay. And then I take the main pegs and lock them in place. And that's all you got. You got the pod. You got both the spars. And then these wings. I mean, the whole thing collapses down and it assembles at the field. You can assemble it in 30 seconds. That's all there is to it. So throw it in the trunk of your car, the back seat, you're good to go. This nose will come off because you can mount a GoPro in here. I used to put a run cam on the very front right here with some Velcro. Like I say, they still sell the plane today. And because it's a good, it's like the E-FLITE Valiant and this one are the only two planes that I know of, maybe the Hobby Zone Super Cub, that they still sell that's been around for more than 10 years. That has to ask yourself a question, why? Because the Valiant, the Optera, and the Hobby Zone Super Cub, or the Sport Cub, are great planes. That's why they keep making, because they keep selling them. So, but that also means parts are then going to be available for quite a while. So, well, there you go. That's my soapbox. That's the E-FLITE Optera, 2-meter wing, great flying plane. And thank y'all for watching. God bless y'all. That was a 30C 3200. Bye, y'all. God bless.